Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Sometimes I think I should have a green screen so that I can put like a desert island behind me or like a fancy looking apartment with a window view of the city. But then I decide that I don't want to do that. So I don't. Yeah. As someone who's doing a lot of video conferencing at the moment, and hands up who can relate to this, a lot of people are using either the blurred background or they're playing around. It's like children when they first discover Snapchat filters, but it's like for adults in office environments now, where everyone's just putting crazy, wacky backgrounds, and I guess anything to get the time by when everyone's stuck at home and you can't sit by the water cooler. You can pretend, put a water cooler background, and then talk. But we're not here to talk about office environments, nor are we talking about backgrounds in Zoom meetings. We're here to talk about, well, anything. This is Ask Me Anything, the live show here on Facebook and YouTube, where you can indeed ask me almost anything. Well, no, here's the thing. You can ask me anything. One, the YouTube or Facebook filters may block some questions, and two, I might not necessarily answer them, but it doesn't mean you can't ask the questions, especially if they're music related. I won't be offended by anything music related, even if it's why is your music so terrible. I will try to answer and justify that. Hopefully, my music's not terrible. I think it's at least improving. Yeah, I think that's the main thing. It's a lifelong learning experience doing this music stuff. In fact, if you saw the interview I did with Matthew Stratton this week, who's a very, very cool, MatthewCreating.com, very cool musician, teacher, tutorial maker, MPC aficionado. If you saw that one, then yeah, he talked about the whole teaching experience, and we're both on the same page with that, which is that to teach other people things like this concept of expert and expertise is a bit kind of warped. And I'll go on a mini rant and then we'll say good day to the folks here live. The concept of expertise around you have to be at such a high level before you can start teaching people coming in at the bottom level is kind of flawed for a couple of reasons. Number one, once you're at that very high level, you're probably going to find it harder to relate to people at the very lowest level or that are just starting out. That's sort of point number one. You're probably, in your music case, you're probably using better gear. You've probably got better equipment and things around you. And secondly, as you're learning things, the best way for you to absorb something is to teach someone else. And when you've just learnt it, that's the best time to teach it. So I say all of that to say when people come to me and they're like, Pete, I don't know what to do with my music, with my creating, my answer is always not to just say do what I do, because it doesn't work for everyone, but in some way start documenting your music creating journey, whether that's through blogging, journaling, keeping a diary, doing a vlog or a video diary type thing, creating little mini tutorials, even if they're just for yourself. Like I've literally created tutorials where I've gone, I don't actually know if anyone else is having this problem or thinking this, but I'm going to, in a year's time, try to remember how to do this and not. So I'm going to make a tutorial for me to go back in time and find out. So that is my advice for all of you. And speaking of all of you, the fine folks that are here today, we have Metallion58. He was here early, getting set up, waiting for Demand. I don't see him anywhere, but I'm here, so that'll have to do. Jade Star is here, of course. If you want to ask me anything, put the word question so that I can find it in the chat. Absolutely, that will help me out 110%. Alex Bacchus from Germany, I believe. I'm getting there with the folks that are here regularly. I'm learning where you're from and hopefully getting it right sometimes. We've got Fallen Creature here. Hello to you. BN. We've got Nick Batuki. We'll go with that. SM Borthwick is here. Hello to you. RBJ. A lot of initials here today. It's a nice, easy ones for me to say. Always like that. We've got David Burgess who has a question. Yes, finish that thought, and I'm more than happy to answer that as we get there. Surfing Cat is here again. Cool names. How did you get into music? Oh, we've got questions coming already. We will jump into the questions in a moment. I think I've said hello to everyone here. Yes. Cool. No, Signature Music Services. Hello to you. Hope you and your family are good. Yes, we are. We are doing well. Yeah, obviously everyone's in kind of the same boat. Do I need to say unprecedented? Do I need to say never before has it been so important in times like these? And we're all in this together. There you go. I've got them all out of the way. They're all done. But yes, in all seriousness, I hope everyone is doing well indeed, and about to kick into a good weekend. It's Saturday morning here in Australia. It's Friday afternoon or evening in the UK and the US and Europe. So wherever you are in the world, hope you are doing very well. Say good day to a few other folks who are here. Michaeli Ali, hello to you. Hang on, let's try that again. Mikhail Ali. Close enough? Let me know. Let me know how I go with these. Matt Moore, hello to you. Sion has made it. Very good to have you here and on board. Rightio. So the questions have started coming in. If you can try to put question in front, I'll try to catch any other ones. But if you put question in front, it just helps me out a little bit. I'm drinking from my Studio Kids Today mug. A delicious coffee from my I was having a thought during the week. I'm like, is it too like left field to do reviews of things like my coffee machine? Because I actually think it's an integral part of my studio. It doesn't actually sit in my studio, it sits out in the kitchen. But I've got a DeLonghi Magnifica, hashtag not sponsored. I've got a DeLonghi Magnifica coffee machine and it is so good. And it's been a game changer because I used to spend probably 10 minutes like getting the grounds and pressing them down and putting them into the thing and then emptying them out and doing all that. With this one, I go and I press one button, I like, and then I walk away with my fresh cup of coffee. So to me, that's an extra 9 minutes that I get to create music. So that's got to be a good thing. I think that's paid for itself in time saving over the last 2 or 3 years that I've had that. Are you a coffee fan? Coffee or tea? What do you go with? Let me know. Coffee, tea, gravy, a delicious cup of beef stock gravy in the morning. We better talk about it now. I got a better pronunciation on the first try. All right. So the more I tried, the worse I got. Yeah, that tends to happen. All righty. Let us go back up because I did see some questions that have already dropped in here. By the way, this is pretty free form. We'll be answering some live questions here. I do have a lightning round that we'll do it around about the halfway mark just to have a little bit of fun as we've been doing in the last few weeks. And yeah, I've got a few prepared topics if we run out of questions that I will rant about as we go along. So I did see Surfing Cat says, let's start general. Let's start pretty general. How did you get into music? I got into music because my parents were into music, because they played a lot of music when I was a kid. I have an older brother and sister who are both into music. So through the 80s, side note, plug for tomorrow's 80s happy hour show. I'll be playing a bunch of my favorite tunes from the 80s. So throughout the 80s, as I was growing up, listened to a lot of music, a lot of old 60s and 70s music. So all the old rock and roll. So got into some Beatles and Elvis Presley and that sort of thing. And then in the 80s, listened to, unfortunately, some of the 80s music, but fortunately, the 80s led into the 90s, where I really sort of started getting into music. So really, like most people, it's the family connection that gets you started. What got me into music at a more serious level or next level? I wanted to be Kurt Cobain or Eddie Vedder. Like either one of those would have been fine. So I wanted to play grunge music in a band. So I did. I was part of a grunge band, a three-piece grunge band called Scarpa through the 90s. We played a few gigs. We made a demo, and then yeah, life gets in the way. I think was it Scott you that mentioned this on one of the forums over on Create Record Release on Facebook, that yeah, a lot of us have this similar story where you go teens and 20s and you're just like, yes, I'm going to be a rock star. Then you realize that that's not actually practical. Not only that, but you kind of get a bit despondent, or at least I did, or most people do, and then you go and get the full-time gig and the job and the mortgage and the family and the dog and the backyard and all the other things, and then you kind of just put music on the back burner and you don't do anything. I was at the point at one point where I'm like, do I sell my guitar? Like, I honestly got that close. And then it was around about sort of mid 30s where I went, hang on, it's actually ridiculous that I'm not creating music, that I'm not doing something with music. So at that stage, had young children. So when they would go to bed at night, I literally on the couch, I had a corner where I had a MIDI keyboard, my guitar, a laptop and a cheap crappy interface. And I would just sit there jamming and learning and teaching myself how to record. And then the rest, as they say, is history. So maybe we'll talk more about sort of how I got into the studio live today, tutorial creating side of things a little later. Do you listen to any kind of metal? So yes, I love. So I was a big fan of Tool. They're one of my favorite bands, and you could call them metal. Big Rage Against the Machine fan, which has been called rap metal. I'm not into the hardcore metal, so I'm not into death metal or doom metal or any of those sort of much harder metal sounds. So more melodic metal, I guess. Metal, I guess, where there's still a melody. I don't mean to say that to disrespect anyone who does like metal, where there's lots of yelling and screaming. I think it is an art form in itself, and it is actually very difficult to do. If you've ever tried it, it's really, really hard to do. So yes, I do like me some metal, but yeah, again on the mainstream side of metal, is Metallica considered metal? I know it was called heavy metal music back in the day, where it was like, Pete, turn down that heavy metal. I don't know who I'm impersonating here. My mum never said that, but like, turn down that heavy metal music. That would be what you'd say, but that could be Nirvana. Like that could be considered. That could be Guns N' Roses. That could be Metallica. All those could be metal. So again, depends on the label you pop on things. But I do like some hard rock. We'll put it that way. And if so, any band you like, yeah. So Tool, my favorite hard rock band. What's the other ones? Who am I thinking of? Linkin Park. I didn't mind getting into a bit of them back in the day. And the band that I'm spacing on, I'll try and remember later. Let's see. I did see more questions. I'm way back up the top here now. And how are you doing? I've answered that one. I'm doing well. Here's a one with a question in front of it. So I will answer this one. Question: is there any way to turn on and off pedals in GarageBand in the middle of the song? Hope you're well. Hello, Sam. I am well. And is there a way to turn on and off the pedals in GarageBand? So I'm assuming you're meaning if you're using a virtual guitar or the guitar amp simulator. And this is a good question because I've probably never tried to do this. I'm loading up a GarageBand project here to just have a quick look see. So if I load up GarageBand on my iPad and we tap play, you can't see this, and I haven't shared my screen yet. If we get lots of GarageBand questions, I'll share my screen later. But let's just go in and say I load up my classic clean guitar. I don't think so is the short answer, because once you hit record, I'll give you the sound at least. Um, so there it is. Let's turn on the echo and the chorus. So yes, you can. Answer the first question. The virtual guitar, it will let you turn it on and off in real time. And let's just play this back, and I'll make sure. Yeah, it does automate those. And I should have known that, because you can do that with things like wah. You can do that with the automation of the speaker cabinet in the Leslie cabinet of the organ sound. So you can actually do that if you can be ambidextrous enough, or get someone. That's right. I mentioned this before because I did a video on this, and I said when you're using a guitar and you want someone to wah, you need someone to come and finger your wah while you're playing your guitar. So yeah, I remember saying that because at the time I think I laughed, and it took about 4 takes of me trying to work out a way to say that didn't sound obscene. But yeah, so you can do it that way. What about if you're using the guitar amp sim? That's a good question. In case that was your question, let's just jump in and grab an amp sim. Again, I should have been more prepared and set this up, but let's just do the same thing. If we hit record just randomly on this, and I'm not playing anything, but I'm turning on the compressor, the echo pedal, the compressor, and then we'll just play this back and see if it does automate those. Oh, no. So it's different on the guitar amp. It's either on off state, and if you're on the amp simulator, it doesn't matter if you're doing it while you're recording it. It actually just is whatever the last state you set it at, which is a bit unfortunate if you want to do like an old school 90s grunge song and you want to kick in the distortion pedal halfway through. What you'd need to do is actually duplicate out that track to a second track, have one that has the pedal off, one that has the pedal on, and then you'll be good to go. You'll just transition from one to the other. So you can fix it in post if you don't want to do that. Wah pedal would be harder, but again, wah pedal, we don't have a wah pedal for the for the guitar amp, only for the virtual amp in GarageBand. Hope that helps you, Sam. If I missed the mark, let me know, and I'll circle back on that. My question is, I have an iPad and I'm looking for a vocal recording iRig. It's almost like this was a plant, and I'm like, RBJ, come along, because I've been using my iRig Pro IO lately, and I need someone to ask a question, so I've got an excuse to show it. But no, it's not going to show up very well. So you can see everything's black in the recording world. Let's see. Do I turn my brightness up a little bit? This might work. Let's just give a bit more brightness, at least for a few minutes. There we go. So this is the iRig Pro IO from IK Multimedia, and I bought it about a year ago, started using it, reviewed it, and then put it on the shelf because I use my Steinberg UR22C. So that's sort of my go-to is if I'm in the studio. But just 2 days ago, I was recording some guitar for a new song and some vocals, and I wasn't in the studio here. The children were in the studio, and I'm like, I actually have a mobile set up for a reason. I'm going to grab my iRig and put it to the test again. So I plugged in guitar, plugged in mic, set up. The good thing is you got gain stage. You got the top here. You can actually set the gain level. You can set the headphone output level as well. You got nice indicators on the front here that show you when you are getting a healthy signal and a clipping signal. So it's really easy to dial in your gain settings. And yeah, I just found it really good. The drawback is that you do need an external power supply, which I'm working on a video actually at the moment. I'm working on a lot of videos. Working on a video about that because you can buy the genuine ones. They're like $30 or $40. Like it's very expensive, but you can get a more generic one. So I'm just working out all the voltage and amps and Clint, if you're watching him by any chance, I'll be hitting you up for help with that one, even though you have to help me remotely at the moment. So yeah, the iRig Pro IO is definitely something. You can get the cheaper version. So there's the iRig Pre if you want just the preamp. The Pre HD has just the preamp. The HD2 has just the guitar in, or the Pro IO has both guitar and microphone preamp. Really good little unit. And you can get the 2-channel version, the Duo as well, which is basically like this, but double wide with 2 controls, 2 indicators and everything. Head over to studiolivetoday.com/gear if you want to get links to this and all the other gear that I recommend. But yeah, if you want the convenience, oh, by the way, this plugs in it comes with its own proprietary cable, but it's a direct lightning cable. So you don't even need any lightning to USB adapter. You don't need any power supply. It uses AA batteries for the preamp, for the phantom power. So you can plug a condenser mic in, get some good quality vocals. And if you want to know how it goes, I'm actually recording the vocals of my current track, which will be released in the next day or so, using this. So you'll get a real view of exactly how it sounds. But thank you for your question, and I promise I didn't plant RBJ just to ask that question. Just so happens I've been literally recording just before this show, so it was already there. Hello, Nick. What part of Australia? You're in Vic. Hello to you over there in Vic. I'm in sunny Adelaide, so down here in Adelaide, South Australia, in the south of Australia. We're very unique with our name. We've got Western Australia over there. We've got Northern Territory up there, and I'm down here in South Australia. But yes, Adelaide, nice place. Come visit us when you can again from wherever you are in the world. We'll have some fun. We'll have a beer. We have good beer and good coffee down here in Adelaide. It's done that jumping thing. I scrolled down a tiny little bit, and then it scrolls down a lot. A question here from Peterson Jean-Jacques. Very cool name. What software do you use for the comment to come up on the screen? So this is StreamYard. So by the way, look, just turn my brightness down. No one needs that much brightness of Pete this early in the morning. Well, early in the morning for me. Oh, so now I knew I'd do that. Now I won't get it back. That's all right. Close enough. So what I'm using here is StreamYard. So if you go to streamyard.com, you can actually use it for free. I think you get 40 hours for free. What I'll do, I'll just show you real quick because I do get this question quite often. And I'll show you how it all works here. I'll just make sure there's nothing on there that looks dodgy. No, that's all good. So I'll just share my screen real quick. So once you've signed in and once you're set up, boom, this is what I see behind the scenes. So StreamYard there, streamyard.com. I've got all my broadcasts here, and I've got all my destinations here as well. So you can stream out to, I've got the paid version. I've got 2 different destinations, which is why I'm live on Facebook and YouTube right now. So you can stream out to, with the pro version, up to, I think, 10 destinations. You can see this top one here. This is this show, which is live, and you can see I'm live on Studio Live Today on Facebook. I'm live on YouTube, and little live indicator there. So you create it here, then you schedule it, and then you enter the broadcast studio, which is what I've done. And over on my other screen, which I can't show you, or I'll do that weird inception thing where you'll see a screen in a screen in a screen, I have the control panel. So all that has is a video display showing what you're seeing, and then down the right-hand side, it has all the comments. And when I want to pop a comment on, I can just tap it up. So if I want to put Matt's comment up here, I can go, there you go. And Matt says, yes, avoid the cheapo iRig 1. Mine never worked. Yeah, so I'll return to that in a moment. But yeah, that's that's the way that I use StreamYard, and it's got a bunch of good features. You've got different audio controls, screen sharing, as you can see here. You can invite up to 6 people at once to be on the screen, so you can do a bit of a Zoom style, Google Hangout style thing there. So I've used this for interviews, I use this for live shows, I use it for pretty much everything these days. Very good, highly recommended service. StreamYard.com, free version, 40 hours a month, I think. Give it a try. Yeah, worthwhile. Thanks for your question. I'll scroll back up and take a very good look. And question here on the same lines. I see some Facebook Live audio sound like they are in studio. How can I do that transfer, Pete? So yeah, and again, I'm using the gear. Probably the second part of that question is the gear that I'm using here is my Zoom Live Track L8. That's why I've showed it before. If you search Pete John's Zoom Live Track, there's a live streaming demo that I show there where I show exactly how it all works. But basically, I plug in my mic into one channel, my iPad into a stereo channel, the computer audio goes through another channel so I can play back audio from my screen. And then if I want to plug guitars or my iPhone or anything else in, I just plug it in, and then that audio then goes directly into the feed. So instead of having to use your webcam mic or instead of having to use anything else, you can just point the audio. And StreamYard's great for this because you don't have to mess around with any of those proprietary Facebook Live or YouTube Live apps. You just use StreamYard. It sends the data, it sends the stream out to Facebook or to YouTube, and you can get a show like this. So I hope that helps you out. I think I've missed. Sion says coffee. Alex is going to have a gravy on the rocks. Righty. Question from David here. Says, I've just started with GarageBand and today received a Steinberg UI22C. My headphones, Divine Pro 5000, have to be on maximum. Is the impedance too low or something? Potentially. I mean, I use these headphones with it. So I use the Sennheiser HD280 Pro and use that with the Steinberg UR22C. Looking at where I have my headphones set here, it's around about 3 o'clock, so about 75% volume, and that gives me a good healthy volume through on these. So maybe it's the impedance like comparison. I haven't looked into that in detail, so apologies, I can't give you a more in-depth answer. But yeah, if anyone else has any ideas around impedance ratings for the Steinberg interface and the headphones, it may be that your headphones are too good. And that sounds weird, I know. That you think good is better, but sometimes the gear, like the higher end and then the sort of entry level, not that the Steinberg stuff is entry level, but it's definitely home consumer level. It might not be matching up, but definitely not an expert in impedance. To be honest, it's one of the things I need to learn more about. So hopefully someone else has got some ideas for you there. Jade Star, just having my cup of tea. Going to do a live stream in 3 hours. Awesome. And Jade's got a cool new setup. So I'll make sure that we talk about that at the end of the show and send you her way. Matt says tea, AM, coffee, PM. There you go. I love it a lot. Italians all on board with the coffee. Hello to Jeff Brush, who says can't stick around. But does say I can't stick around, but I've just come to tell you, got my Steinberg UR12, my Lightning to USB, and an Apex 435B, best available for my price range. Quite exciting. That is exciting. I hope you enjoy that and get some good recordings going on. Question from Fallen Creature. How can I write a hard rock riff without playing an actual guitar? This is a challenge. Getting a good hard rock guitar sound anywhere with anything is hard. There's a few options in the iOS world. There's an app called GeoShred, which is kind of a bit of a specialist for hard rock. I've downloaded sort of the free version of it. I haven't played with it a lot, but it's pretty cool. If you want to shred on your iPhone or your iPad, GeoShred by its very name sounds it sounds like it would do the job for you. The actual virtual guitar in GarageBand, you can write a hard rock riff using the keyboard. So I've showed in other videos that you don't have to use the actual guitar. You can bring up the keyboard and you can play guitar or bass or anything on the actual keyboard interface, the touchscreen interface on your iPhone or iPad. If you've got a MIDI controller, you can use that to record a guitar sound. And don't overlook guitar loops. Like the way you can chop up guitar loops and use guitar loops. I did a video a while ago. Again, you can probably find it if you search Pete John's DIY loops, I think. I showed how I made some guitar loops, and then I made those available for you to download and use. And a couple of folks have already made songs using those loops. So there's a few ideas there for you, but yeah, it can be. It's one of the hardest instruments to emulate well. there's heaps of guitar emulation plugins and software and things, but yeah, the real thing, I haven't really seen anyone get super close. So I hope that helps. Um, I'm cubing. Have you tried the Aviator mic from Amazon? No, I haven't. So sorry. If I haven't, not that if I haven't heard of it, it's not good. But there are a lot of cheaper mics on eBay and Amazon. And it's not that they don't do an okay job. They do. If it's what you can afford, buy it. But there's those sort of $20 or $30 packs that have like a condenser mic and a pop filter and a mic stand and stuff. And you know what? If you're absolutely starting out and that's your budget, buy it. Just don't expect to get really high quality audio. You're going to get a lot of noise because the quality of the components means that it's going to have more noise in the signal, and the quality of the signal coming out the converters. Well, if it's a USB mic, the converters in that are not going to be that great, because again, you do get what you pay for. And I've said this before. It's like wine. The difference between a $5 cask of Goon, what we call box wine here in Australia, and a $20 bottle of wine is distinguishable. Once you go from $20 up to $100, though, you have to be a bit of a wine connoisseur to actually tell the difference. And it's the same with audio gear. When you're going from that moderate level to high level, it's diminishing returns. So again, a $20 mic to a $100 mic, big difference. $100 mic to $500 mic, some difference, but not as much as the 20 to 100. That makes sense? So yes, while I haven't answered your question specifically, yeah, hopefully that helps out and gives you some ideas. We've answered David's question. Oh, I'm so super far behind here. We'll have no shortage of questions to go for. I've probably missed some of these. Quick one. Why can't you game when you use keyboards and mouses on an iPad? Why can't you? Usually because the games are designed for touchscreen and the mouse and keyboard are designed for pointers and typing. So it's just, if the app developers wanted to develop apps for mouse and keyboard on iPad support, they could. They just haven't yet because it's not widespread enough. What we'll probably find is as games are developed for the iPad Pro with the new sort of not touch screen, new touchpad, trackpad interface and the new mouse pointer and the new keyboard support, I think you'll see for gaming more of the high-end games on the iPad Pro starting to have keyboard and mouse support. Right here, I'm going to keep scrolling on down and see. Once again, if you can, it'll help me out because there's some questions coming in here and I'm definitely going to miss a few. But if you do have questions, if you can pop the word question in front. So if you can put a question. Oh, I did that one. I didn't mean to do the ticker. How do I take that off? There we go. Yeah, put question in front of the comment, and then that way I'll know that you've got a question. It just helps me when I'm scrolling through. It helps me find things a little easier. So thank you for that. Let's jump back to those comments. We've answered the software that I use for that. Yes, I love this from Jade. She says, I remember my dad tried to understand my love of death metal and he gave me a Poison album for Christmas. That would be Poison to a metal fan. Yeah. And I think that's the thing. There's hair metal and people sort of say that 80s sort of Europe Poison kind of rock was metal. For real metal fans, that's about as far from metal as you can go. I'll just see. See you later to Nick, who says, got to go. Go watching other videos for GarageBand tutorials, still trying to improve. Excellent. Good stuff. I hope that the videos help out. Question here from Aaron. Aaron Sherlock, hello to you. What are the best guitar add-on apps, etc. for GarageBand for iPad, not Mac? I can tell you what I use. So for guitar, I like the Stark amp sim. So on iPad, the Stark from Clevgrand. It's about a $20 US app, about $30 here in Australia. It's a really simple interface, but it's just really easy, really good quality, lots of good tones and presets you can dial in, but ultimate flexibility as well. So you can put a bunch of different amp cabs, a bunch of different heads, a bunch of different pedals and stomp boxes, and then, yeah, just get your tone dialed in from there. So I highly recommend that. If you want a demo, just search my name, Pete Johns and Stark, STARK, and you'll find that one. What a lot of other folks use are Tone Bridge and Bias. So they're the two big ones, I guess, probably even more popular than Stark. I like Stark just because it's a bit different and I like the tone and I find it much simpler, but Tone Bridge and Bias are other good guitar plugins, guitar tone simulators for your iPad. Alrighty, I'll just continue scrolling down and see what we've got. Once again, if you want to get your question answered, do like Mr. SM Borthwick and put question in front. Have you tried the Music Memos app to hack the time signature tempo limitations in GarageBand? I was playing around with it when I imported it to GB. It showed 5/4 time. So I haven't ever done that, to be perfectly honest. I haven't ever got it to show 5/4 time, but what I have done is, if you don't know what we're talking about here, Music Memos is an app on your iPhone or your iPad. I highly recommend it. It's free. It's kind of the GarageBand companion app. So it's made by Apple, and what you do is you play a guitar riff into it, and what it will do is, so you can play guitar, like guitar chords or guitar riff or piano or even sing, and then what it does is it tries to work out the chords, and it works out the tempo, and it works out the key and the times and the key signature and time signature. So what it actually does though is it uses flexible time, because unless you're playing to a metronome, you're not going to be in perfect time. It will just have flexible time. So if you bring it into GarageBand, what you'll notice is that it doesn't say it's at 110 BPM or 120 BPM. It just says, I can't remember the word it says, but it says variable or something like that. So it's a way that if you need to slow down or speed up or have multiple speeds in a song, you can actually kind of hack your way through there. I didn't know this one, so this is interesting. If you wanted to get a different time signature, maybe you could do it this way. And I guess the only limitation there would be, so what you'd have to do probably is set a metronome externally and just play something into Music Memos at 5/4 time at say 100 BPM, and then send that over to GarageBand and then expand that out and then build your track in there. It wouldn't work with loops and other things that need it to be 4/4 time, but it could be a pretty interesting way. So no, haven't experimented with that. Sounds super interesting. Let me know if you have any success with it. And yeah, it could be a cool tip. Could be a cool way to get something in the future. Question here from Dan Thorpe. Hello to you, Dan. I'm considering buying one of the Focusrite Scarlett interface. Would you recommend? Yes, I would. Can we see it from here? No, it's kind of hiding down over there. So I used the Scarlett 2i2 second generation for a long time. So my interface journey, I had a very cheap interface. Let's see if I can find it. It's not relevant to your question, sorry, but I like nostalgia. I don't think I have it handy here anyway. Nope, I don't. So I started out with a cheap generic no brand interface. Then I moved on to a Tascam interface, the Tascam US 125M, then the Scarlett Focusrite 2i2, other way around, and then the Steinberg UR12, and then the Steinberg UR22C. Yes, I like audio interfaces. Not surprising. Focusrite. If I wasn't using Steinberg, I'd use Focusrite, put it that way. So it is my second choice when it comes to, so this is what I use, the Steinberg UR22C, solid as a rock, built like a tank, balanced outputs, 2-channel inputs, good preamps from Yamaha. Definitely worth looking at if you are looking to get yourself a quality audio interface. And basically, the specs are almost identical to the Focusrite Scarlett 2i2 3rd Gen, except the Scarlett doesn't have MIDI. So if MIDI is a factor for you, and the other thing is this one has the switchable supply here, so you can switch it between USB bus power or an external 5-volt power, meaning you can plug it into AC, or you can use it from a portable battery directly. So they're the two reasons that I go for this over one of the Focusrite Scarletts. But if you don't need any of that stuff, you don't need MIDI and you're not using it on mobile, Focusrite Scarlett 2i2 3rd Gen, some say the preamps are slightly quieter, and some say that the output you get from the headphone, to the point from someone earlier, is a little bit better. So you get a louder signal coming out. That's the one thing I hear from people about the Steinberg is sometimes it doesn't have enough output for them if you're playing very loud stuff. Probably because I play acoustic mostly and vocals, it's definitely loud enough in my headphones. But if you're finding that, maybe the Focusrite Scarlett is good. And as always, if you do want to find out my recommendations and links to all the stuff that I use, studiolivetoday.com/gear is the place to go. Excuse me. Let's see. Have we got any other questions? RBJ says, is there any particular model number? I've seen many iRigs on Amazon. It's quite difficult to find the correct one. Yeah. So for this one, head over to studiolivetoday.com/gear. I have it listed there. But yeah, the model numbers are a bit all over the place. And if you get the cheaper iRigs, there are unfortunately a few clones that may even say iRig, but are not actually iRigs. Basically, if the price is too good to be true, it's not an iRig. But yeah, the iRig Pro, anything with iRig Pro in it or iRig HD is going to be your go-to. They're the interfaces I would recommend. Um, so and Jay's just gone. Jay's just gone to the mixer. It's gone to the MG10UX. Yes, the Yamaha MG series. If you're looking for a mixer, so if you want to take it to the next level and you want to have, if you're doing live streaming, live podcasting, live performing, but also want to have the flexibility to record individual tracks or to be able to send out a stereo signal and record it, a mixer is often a good idea. Nick says, I'm listening to you on Spotify, Pete. Cool music. Thank you very much, my friend. Yes, feel free to go to Spotify and stream my music if you would like to. Thank you. I appreciate you. Again, I've lost my spot. I've lost my spot in the list. Oh, there we go. If I keep one on the screen, then when I scroll back up, I can find where we have it. I'm literally going to have to just look for ones with question in front because I'm going to struggle here. Although I do have one here. I've started doing basic recordings with my iPhone with GarageBand, but that's the only Apple device I have. I want another device solely for music. What would you recommend, Pete? So, I mean, I am biased in that, well, I'm not biased, but I like what I like. So my workflow works well with, that's a lot of W's, works well with iPad. I like the iPad at the moment. I'm using the iPad Pro first gen, like the older hardware, 12.9-inch screen though. And that for me, I can plug all my stuff in. It's sitting right here all the time on my desk. But then if I want to take it and pick it up and take it elsewhere, I can. And yeah, I just like using that. So that's my choice. Others don't. Others like to use a Mac or a PC, and they like a desktop digital audio workstation. If that's more your bag, then yeah, go for something like that. But for me, especially if you're starting out on iPhone, I love the fact that I can bounce my tracks from iPhone to iPad. I can stay all within that iOS universe, and everything just stays aligned. It all backs up to iCloud Drive. I don't lose any of my songs or my ideas. So yeah, that's my answer to that one. So I hope that helps out. A quick bit of cold coffee, and then we'll continue. Metalian up there in Montreal. Hope you're doing well today, sir. Did you get the Zoom to work with the iPad? I didn't yet. I literally, every time I check my emails, which by the way, if you've emailed me lately or if you've got a message, I'm about 5 days behind. I usually catch up on Saturdays and Sundays, and then through the week, everything just sort of banks up. So I apologize if you're waiting on a response from me. It is probably because it's sitting in my inbox. But there's also one in there from Zoom support because I still didn't get it to work. I've spoken to other people. Apparently, what I need to do is unplug everything, put batteries in. Yes, batteries in the Zoom LiveTrack L8, and then connect it up to my iPad, and then it should work. And then apparently I can plug it back into power after that once it's connected for that first time. But yeah, it's clunkier than I would have liked, to put it mildly. So I love the Zoom LiveTrack L8. I use it for every live stream. I use it for all of my recording, for all of my videos. But for recording music on my iPhone or iPad, I still lean heavily on my Steinberg UI12. And now that I've sort of rediscovered it, the iRig Pro IO as well. But yes, I would love to, and hopefully I get some time to check more about that as well. Let's see who else we've got here. So a question here from Vaughan Felix. Hello to you. If you remember my question I had about Facebook and YouTube monetization, my distributor said I'm not eligible because I use virtual instruments from Logic Pro. I don't use loops, I use MIDI everything. That's a really interesting one and a bit strange. So what we're talking about here is when you distribute your music. So I use DistroKid and Amuse, mostly DistroKid. And what you can do is you upload your song and then DistroKid take your song or your album or your EP and they distribute it to Spotify, Apple Music, iTunes, Google Play, Amazon, all the different places. So very, very cool thing to do. But what Felix has been saying is that he can't actually, he's saying the distributor's saying he can't release because he's using virtual instruments from Logic Pro. Now, I have never come across this. I've come across loops before, and sometimes distributors and sometimes stores get confused because they think you can't use loops. You absolutely can. If they're royalty-free loops, all the ones within the Apple universe, everything in Logic and GarageBand, Apple put out there for you to use commercially, regardless of anything. And they do that because they want you to use their software to create your music. And the same with virtual instruments. So that's a really weird one. Yeah, let us know who the distributor is and why that, yeah, what exactly they're saying, because that one sounds very, very, very weird. This is how far behind I am. GeoShred Play. Jade's thrown a link to that one, so you can definitely check that one out as well. Question from Randy Motts here. Why do some of the songs I'm working on iPad and GarageBand end at the end of the tracks, and why do some automatically go back to the beginning of the song and repeat? I think the way that GarageBand works is it will always repeat. So it's designed to loop back and start playing again. Maybe it's that some of your songs you've got a little bit of a tail. So if you've got a few bars at the end, it will just play out and it will just keep playing. And then as soon as it hits the end of the last track, it jumps to track one and starts playing. A lot of people don't like this. Unfortunately, there's no way to change it. But all that I do is throw 16 bars, 20 bars at the end as an extra section. And then when you get to the end, you'll at least have 30 seconds breathing space before it starts playing again. Because if you want to hear what the end of your song sounds like, you obviously don't want it going back to the start. And I recommend that for everyone anyway, especially if you're playing a last note. You want that reverb, you want that time for it to settle down. Like very few songs finish with bunk and they finish on beat 4 of the last bar. You want a few bars to let it sort of settle. So hopefully that helps you out. Da, da, da. Question here from David. I bought a Romos 10 as per your setup with the Apple adapter, but it won't work to power the UR22C. That is a very, very strange thing. So the Romos 10, I don't have it handy here. It's in my kit bag. So you're powering it up. You're setting it to this one here, so the DC input, 5 volt DC, and you're saying that that's not powering the interface when you connect it via USB. That is a weird one. I'll have to do some testing. Like I said, I'm doing some recording at the moment, and I have switched over to the iRig Pro IO at the moment, but I'll try to do some testing on that and see what happens there because, I've definitely had other people that have used all of that gear and myself as well, and it's all worked well. So that is a strange one. Yes, I'll look into it in more detail. Hello, to Shay Mac. Hello to you. Hope you're doing well. Djali, hello to you. Hope you're doing well as well. Question: how do you set up your mouse buttons for GarageBand to best use on the iPad? So I'm in a bit of a fluctuation at the moment because I haven't had enough time to spend with the new mouse cursor options. I had the old ones down pat, right? So I have the 3 buttons on my mouse. I use my mouse and I've got the 3 buttons and I could use one for my home screen, one for clicking and dragging, and I can't even remember what I used the other one. Other one for switching apps. That's right. With the new setup, the new improved cursor, I can't seem to work out how to get my buttons set the way that I want them again. So watch this space. I'm overdue for another video about the mouse cursor usage. And with the new Magic Trackpad and all the other things coming out, I do need to explore it a little bit more. But at the moment, it's all a very generic setup that I have there. I don't have a whole lot going on. So yes. Let's continue on here. Question. So Felix responding to that. My distributor said I'm not eligible because I use virtual instruments for my DAW. Yeah, but I don't use loops. I play on all the notes myself. Is that okay? Yeah, so it totally is okay. So this is related to the question we just had. Using virtual instruments should be 100% okay. I don't know. Yeah, almost every single song that I've ever released has some sort of virtual instrument. Like there's a few songs where it's literally just me and an acoustic guitar or me and electric guitar, but I use virtual drums in almost every instrument. I use some sort of pad instrument or the piano or some virtual keys or organ or something in almost every release song. So let me know the distributor because, if it's DistroKid, that's very weird because it's double standard because I've been using virtual instruments in a heap of my tunes for sure. Let's see. Question here from Shay Mac. Is it possible to create a synth blur pad in GarageBand? Well, my question to respond to that question is, what is a synth blur pad? I'm not a synth guy, which is probably why I don't understand that fully. But I don't know what a synth blur pad is. The Alchemy synth has a bunch of different options, and it has all the different knobs and dials you can do, of course. And then it also has that little sort of eight port slider that you can move between, and you can automate that. So you can play that as you're playing your synth. If someone else has an answer to this, I would have to Google synth blur pad and then make up an answer, which is not going to help you or anyone. So the question is, I don't know. But if it was possible, I'd probably know because I've read basically every letter of every GarageBand manual and help file from Apple. So I probably would have seen the words before. So maybe not, but I don't know. Don't know the answer. Excuse me. Randy says, any recommendations on free effects processing apps for creating ambient music? So I must admit, effects processing apps for ambient music. What do I use when I want sort of an ambient sound? I don't reach for much outside of the regular GarageBand effects, to be honest. When I'm going for ambience, it's obviously a lot of it's around reverb and delay, a bit of flange, a little bit of stereo sort of movement as well. I lean on a lot of the Alchemy synths in GarageBand that have a lot of that stuff built in, to be honest. I'm just trying to think. Let's check my plugins list live. I don't have the screen showing, so you won't see that. Just so that I can see some of the things I use, because I'm probably just blanking on some of the things. So I definitely use the flanger and the microphaser in GarageBand, so the standard ones. The chorus I sometimes use in the tremolo to get that sort of wavering effect in there. As far as my extensions go, what do I use? I'm just scrolling down here. Probably the FAC chorus. So FAC, Fred Anton Corvesh, does a bunch of great plugins. His chorus has some excellent effects that you can use to change things. I'm just trying to have a look down here. I have played with the Gyro Vibe from Neon Silicon, which is a free app. So search for that one, GYROVIBE. The Cleverb from Clevgrand. That's got, I like my Clevgrand apps. Clevgrand. So Cleverb is a good reverb app. Lux from Clevgrand. Don't know how to say it. Lux can be a good one as well if you're looking for a paid app. And then a lot of the Nembrini stuff that's sort of more designed for guitar, but some of their stuff like their flanger and delay and chorus and other things and phaser, I'm finding myself using those on a bunch of different stuff as well. So, and stereo lag as well. A free plugin called Stereo Lag that can be good for creating a bit of that sort of ping pong. Like if you've got a synth and you want it to just sort of go boo 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 boo, you know what I mean, right? Yeah, then that can actually help out. So hopefully that gives you some ideas as well. Rightio, where are we up to? I'm way behind here. If you do have a question, once again, put question in front of it as Mikhail Ali. I tried it quick again to see if I got it right. Which DAW do I currently use? So I'm a big GarageBand user. Those who've been on the channel know that I use GarageBand 90% of the time. On my PC, I use Reaper. So that's the DAW that I use if I'm ever recording anything on the PC, but it's GarageBand that I tend to lean on more than anything else on the iPhone and iPad because I just love the simple interface. I love that you can use any plugins and effects you want, third-party plugins. It works well, and yeah, it just works for my workflow. So I can pick it up, take it anywhere, hit add track, start recording, and I don't have to do a whole lot in the way of setup. So that's what I go with myself. We'll continue going down here. Question here from Tass Bestwood. What adapter to power the iPad while using an audio interface? So what I use, let's unplug it so that you can actually see. I recommend and use this one. And again, the regular folks here will know that I talk about this a lot. This is the genuine Apple Lightning to USB 3 adapter. Now, some audio interfaces will get enough power just plugging an external power supply into here and plugging this one to the USB port on the audio interface. I tend to also, and I don't know if I can bring it into shot because it's plugged in and doing stuff over here. I use a powered USB hub as well. Let's just unplug it so I can show you. If I unplug the power cable, it's probably going to go flying down. No, I can't do it. It's all too integrated over there. But yeah, the other thing I use is the 10DAC 4-port powered USB hub. It's actually a 5-port, so that's got 4. So what you do is you plug the port, you plug the, let's try this again. You plug your powered USB hub into your Lightning to USB adapter, then you plug this into your iPhone or iPad, and then any of your USB devices, your audio interfaces, your microphones, your USB flash drives, your mice and keyboards, you plug into the hub, and they're all powered separately, and then they're all available to be sent via data to your iPad or iPhone. And the reason I recommend that, so when you buy an audio interface, I say, Buy one of these. I know they're not cheap, $37, $39 US, like $60 here in Australia for a piece of plastic. I know. But if you buy the cheaper versions, they either don't work out of the box or you have issues over time and they don't work. So, yeah, buyer beware with the cheaper ones. And then the powered USB hub just means that you don't have to ever worry about multiple devices or about how to power those. So, that stuff works for me. But thank you for the question. Hello, Bronte. Much love from Scotland. Got a lot of Scottish viewers here today and in general. So, yeah, hello. Welcome to those in Scotland. Anything out there in the universe that can connect a looper to GarageBand, iPhone, or iPad? Yeah. So pretty much anything that has a stereo out can use any stereo input. So you can use an interface like the Steinberg UR22C, like a Focusrite Scarlett 2i2, or there's another device which I don't have handy here, but Behringer make a little RCA interface, which is called the UCA 222, Behringer U-Control UCA 222. So anything that you can send an unbalanced RCA, so the old red and white jacks, out of a mixer, out of a looper, out of a processor, whatever, you can then input into that. And the reason I'd mention that is they're about half the price. So they're about $50, $60. For a decent two-channel audio interface, you're looking at around $100 to $150. So they're all US dollars. It's weird. I talk in US dollars so often that I'll get it in my head. I'll be like, oh yeah, the Audio Technica AT 2020 mic is $99. And then I'll go, hang on, why is it $160 when I go to buy one? Oh wait, I live in Australia. The majority of you are in the US and Canada. So it kind of goes like this. US and Canada is about 60 to 70%. UK and Europe is about sort of 15%. Australia is about 5 or 10%. And then the rest of the world is whatever number I didn't make up in terms of those that are viewers here on the channel. So the reason, if you're ever wondering why are you in Australia and you talk about US dollars for everything, it's kind of it's a little bit the global currency, and it gives that baseline because the majority of you are in the US. So I do try to, when I'm doing in-depth reviews, say that in US, which is about this amount Australian, this amount in Great British Pounds, and this amount in Euro. But I think most folks in the UK and Europe, like me in Australia, are used to doing that little head conversion of the different things, different prices. What have we got here? We've got Surfing Cat. How do you get a very crunchy snare drum sound with GarageBand? Well, I like a crunchy snare drum sound. So, what I do if I want a snare that really crunches through, there's a couple of tricks. First of all is to turn the velocity up. So if you're using virtual drums, turn the velocity up, you'll get a different sound. Let's just, I'll play the drums quickly for you here and give you a bit of an idea of the different sounds you get depending how hard you hit the snare. And let's just live create a crunchy snare, shall we? You can't see this, but I just brought up the drums and it's the Chinese kit I've been playing around with. I'm like, that's probably not going to work. So I'm going to go the 4 on the floor drum kit, which already has a pretty heavy snare. And what you can hear is that when I tap it gently, obviously it's less of that crunchy sound. And if I hit it on the corner, I get that sound. So you've actually got 3, again, if you're using virtual drums, you've got 3 zones on your snare. You've got the rim shot. You've got just inside the rim, which gives you that sound. And then you've got your clean snare sound in the middle. So if I just hit record on this one, let's just do this and we'll just go. And then move over to the edge. Then, yeah, you're getting those sort of 2 snare sounds. Now, what you can then do is go into your virtual track. And again, I should probably be sharing my screen so you can actually see what I'm doing here. But I'll just do a quick one here. I wasn't planning to do a bunch of demo. And what I'm going to do is all of these, you can go to the velocity setting of them and turn the velocity up to maximum. So that's what I'm going to do with this second lot is grab the velocity and crank it up to max. So now when I play these ones in this section, we've got. So that's going to give you a bit of a better sound. In terms of processing then, there's a couple of plugins that I like to use with this. So one is the Rough Rider 3 compressor, which can really give it a little bit more kick through. So let's just find that one and throw that on here. Rough Rider 3 from Audio Damage. So even with it sort of default on here, we'll So it's giving it that little crunchier, rougher tone, which is hence its name. And then the other thing that I like, I mentioned it just before, but FAC, the Fred Anton Corvus, he has a plugin called Maxima. So the FAC Maxima plugin. So Rough Rider 3 is free if you want to use that. Grab the Maxima, and it's actually, I think it's even got a drum one here. Yeah, so if we go the Drum Max, this could be dangerous. Let's turn the volume down. I've turned the Drum Max preset on, and let's play this drum sound again. Crunchy, yeah. So yeah, that's the route that I would go whenever I want to improve my drum sound. Try the Rough Rider 3. Try some compression, like just regular compression, but Rough Rider 3 just has that little bit of an extra edge. The FAC Maxima is a really good sort of maximizer limiter kind of plugin that can really sort of give you that crunchy pushing through sound. So hopefully that helped you out, and you can surf your cat, or is it? No, it's a cat that surfs, or do you surf on the cat? Hopefully it's the former. Hopefully the cat does the surfing and you're not surfing on a cat. That would be strange. I did, oh, hang on. I did see a super chat from someone that popped up and then popped away. So thank you. I will find that. I'm so far behind on the comments that it hasn't shown up for me here. So thank you so much to whomever it was that gave a super chat, and apologies that I didn't get to that. Cold, hard, thin sound. Well, yeah, you can do. So I kind of gave a bit of a fatter sound. You can change that again by using that tone. And if you want it thinner, just remove some of the bass frequency. So grab the EQ and drop down the bass and get a bit more treble in there as well. And Sion's got some good answers to that one as well. Randy says, thanks for the answer on the repeating of my songs. Great show. Thank you, Randy. Appreciate you, my friend. Yes, thank you for being here, and thank you for everybody for being here today. We will continue on. We've got a bunch more questions here, which I'm slowly getting through here. And again, if you do have more questions, please put question in front of them, and I will get to them in due course. Connor here, doesn't have a question there, but what laptop, large tablet would you recommend to run Logic? Cheaper the better, but willing to explore any option. So, full disclosure, I am not a Mac user or aficionado. There are plenty of folks who are, though. And the place that I would ask is probably, if you're using actually Logic, there's probably Logic Pro forums on Facebook, on Reddit, places like that. So I'm sure there's people there that would help you out. The GarageBand users Facebook group is great for advice around what Mac to buy, what iPad to buy, all of that sort of thing. For running Logic, I mean, yeah, you probably want something in the more modern and something in the Pro range, I would say, if you want to get the absolute most out of it. But yeah, sorry that I can't give a better answer, but it's not quite my bag. Question here from Alex says, question, did you see that Amazon is cutting on the affiliate commissions? Yeah, I did. So full disclosure, right up front, I am an Amazon affiliate. So when you go to my gear guide, studiolivetoday.com/gear, and you click through or you tap through and then you make a purchase, they break off a little chunk and they send it to me. And that's a way that you can get good gear and you can be supporting me and the channel at the same time. You don't pay any more, but the way that affiliate marketing works is a little bit of the profit that Amazon would make from selling that, the wholesale to resale cost, they give to creators like me for referring folks like you. So what Alex is referring to here is that Amazon on the 1st of May, I believe, or it might have even been earlier, 30th of April, something like that, they reduced the amount of commissions paid, so the amount of affiliate commission paid to creators for a bunch of different categories. And musical instruments, and I think musical gear. I haven't quite worked it out yet. You'd think I'd know more, but musical instruments definitely are one category that's gone. And to give you an idea, I'm happy to give you all the information here because it's all public knowledge. It was 6%. So if you bought a $100 interface, then my commission for that would be $6. That's gone to 3%. So if you buy something for $100, $3 goes to the creator that's referred you there. Now it's not that bad for those like myself who are part of the way that we run our business, and part of the way that we support ourselves is through affiliate marketing. But a lot of other products have gone. So I think beauty and health and some of these things have gone from 6% to like 1%. So there's a lot of people who have been basically relying on that as their income, who are obviously a little concerned right now. So That's the crux of that. A lot of different categories have reduced. Some have gone down a little. Some have gone down a lot. Some have gone down not much at all. So that's the facts of that, and you can draw your own conclusions and opinions on that. Related to that is that I've recently started using Sweetwater as a second affiliate as well. For a couple of reasons. They have better stock of a lot of the musical instruments and a lot of the gear that I recommend. So when Amazon run out of stock, there's an option there to go through Sweetwater. Prices are about the same. And for some things where you want some expertise and some service, Sweetwater have people like that you can actually talk to, human beings that you can talk to and get advice. So thanks for the question. And yeah, hopefully that answers things and helps you out. We'll continue down here. Oh, it did. I was like, I'm going to scroll down, and I hope that the chat doesn't just jump because there I found it. So Vaughn, thank you very much. It was Vaughn that provided the super chat. I knew I'd find it, but I was just so far behind on the chat. So clarification: they distributed it. They didn't monetize it for YouTube and Facebook. So my music won't show up in Instagram stories, and no content ID by YouTube, and that's through Lander. Okay, so yeah, that is interesting because I'm just trying to think. Yeah, so I've definitely, DistroKid. I've definitely released music that uses samples, loops, and virtual instruments, and it hasn't had any issues whatsoever with that. Maybe Lander are just being a little bit more cautious than what some other distributors are, than what DistroKid would be. But yeah, I haven't come across that, and I've released through Amuse. And through Amuse, I've used virtual instruments, I've used samples, and that has definitely been, that wasn't released to Facebook or Instagram, but that definitely went into Content ID by YouTube because I actually get any video where I use the songs I've released on Amuse, I get flagged by myself. So for Content ID. So so yeah, it sounds like it's a Lander specific thing. But if anyone else has had any experience with this, then yeah, let Felix know, or Vaughn Felix, let us know and see if we can share some more information there. But that is a weird one. Haven't come across that with DistroKid or Amuse, and haven't heard anyone else say that CD Baby or TuneCore or any other distributors are doing that. So sounds like it might be a Lander thing specifically. But yeah, thank you for the support too, for the super chat, which you can do if you do want to support the channel. That is another way you can do it. If you're here live on YouTube, as a little super chat sticker or comment button you can pop down there. While I'm here, Randy said, thanks for the effects processor recommendations. Very welcome, my friend. I hope they helped out. I'm going to scroll back up, and I'm just going to have to do a quick question scan to see where I was up to and see where I got to. So bear with me for just a moment. That's where we were. There was Randy's question. There was Tass's question that we answered. There was Bronte we said hello to. We'll continue on down. Right. I think I'm no, I'm not caught up. I keep scrolling down and I get to, yeah, we answered Connor's question there about that one. All right. Here's a question from Kiss Gods. That's an interesting avatar. I like seeing what people use as their avatar here. Hi Pete, when I listen to my final product in GarageBand app, it sounds crisp and strong, but when I export it to burn to a CD, the sound quality is poor. Any ideas? So, yeah, we're probably talking mastering here, so you may want to look into the export of your song. I've got a few videos, so the easiest way is for you to check out. Just search Pete Johns Mastering, and I show you how I master both in GarageBand, but also using external third-party apps to master my music. So that's probably going to be related to that, because when you do your final mix in GarageBand, you're listening in GarageBand, you'll turn the volume up, it'll be playing it back, it'll sound really nice and crisp. When you then play it and compare it to other tracks, it's usually around the limiting that you have applied to that. So a song that you may have may sort of have the sound that's at 80% most of the time and go up and hit 100%, and then you play it next to another track that's been mastered, and their track is sitting up here because they've had limiting applied to it that makes the volume level and even at a higher level, higher gain. So that's probably the thing that I would explore, because and the thing is, GarageBand does auto normalization, but it doesn't do auto limiting. So when you export from GarageBand, it'll take the loudest part of your song and boost that up so it's at maximum volume, But if you've got a lot of dynamic range in your song, you may find the quieter parts really don't cut through when you're listening back to the final mix in another platform. So hopefully that helps you out and gives you some ideas there. But mastering may be the answer for you. Alan Velish, hello to you. Good to have you here on board, my friend. We'll continue scrolling down here and see what we have. Yeah. Um, Thank you to Tass. Hope the answer helps you out there. We've got Chris Harness TV. Question: what does Logic Pro have or do that GarageBand does not? So once again, I'll preface this by saying I'm not a Mac user and I'm not a Logic user. So I don't know all of the details and the bells and whistles. But comparing the Mac version of GarageBand with Logic, there's some things like there's the Alchemy synth is one thing that you have on Logic that you don't have on GarageBand. I think you've got more advanced plugins and samples and things, a lot more sort of virtual instruments and loops. I'm guessing at it here. We're going to need someone else. In fact, you know who you could ask? You should be asking. I'm assuming that Patrick knows a bit more about Logic as well as GarageBand. But on what is Monday morning for me, be Sunday afternoon or Sunday evening for you folks in the US, Canada, and UK. We've got GarageBand Weekly this week with special guest Patrick from the GarageBand Guide. So if you've got your GarageBand questions, especially the Mac stuff that I always just handball off to the GarageBand users Facebook group, then I would tune in for that one, and we might put Patrick on the spot and ask him that. Although now he knows it. If he watches this, he'll get a heads up for that. So thank you for your question, but I think it just has more features, but exactly what those features are, I'm not 100% sure. But I do appreciate your support and your question. Hello, Tim Osborne. Good to catch you for a bit before bedtime. Yes, I know it's close to bedtime for many folks, especially those in the UK and Europe. But I hope you are all doing well and having a wee nightcap before you turn in for the night. Question: am I able to use? This is from Connor Hughes. Hello, Connor. Am I able to use a normal SM58 mic when recording, or just by a USB lead? So there are converters that will convert your XLR mic to USB. So there's one made by Blue called the Icicle that does that, which you can check out. Blue Icicle, ICICLE. Then you can get obviously an audio interface, but there's different types of converters. So if you don't want to use an audio interface or an iRig Pre, something like this is the iRig Pro IO we were talking about earlier in the show. There's an iRig Pre version of this that does exactly that, lets you plug in a regular mic and then has a USB or a lightning output at the other end. So depending what quality you want and how much you want to spend to get that done will depend on that. If you pick up something like there's cheaper XLR to USB converters that you can pick up on eBay and Amazon. I haven't tried them a lot, and I don't have a whole lot of experience with them. So, your mileage is going to vary on those. So I would lean towards more the iRig Pre series, which is your preamp converters, or something like the Pro IO, or just an audio interface. Something like a Behringer UM2. It's only about a $40, $50 interface. And then you've got a full-fledged interface that you can use and plug all of your analog audio gear and convert it to digital. So hopefully that helps you. Connor. Righty dokie. We'll keep scrolling down here. Again, I need to leave the last one up, don't I? Because it's going to keep scrolling on down. Need to find a better way to do this. Question here from Ruffy. Hello to you, Pete. What made you want to write music? Let's just pause for a quick water break, and then I'll come back. The suspense. I'll let you know what made me want to write music in just a moment. So, why did I want to write music as opposed to just play cover songs or do other people's music? It kind of just happened organically, to be honest. So when I first started playing with a band, the first thing you do is you try to play cover songs. We tried to play Nirvana and Pearl Jam and Green Day and Offspring and all of the bands, grunge bands of the 90s. And then after a while, we're like, we could sort of make our own songs that are along these lines. So then it turned into, here's a cool riff. Let's just sort of start jamming on that riff. And then it was like, we could add some lyrics to these songs. So, started doing some lyrics and started yelling and screaming some various lyrics of teenage angst. And that's really all that happened. And then I think I realized that oh, I can actually create this thing. And I think artists and writers and any sort of creative folks probably have the same experience where you go, oh, I created something out of nothing. So I think that is, in terms of why I like to do it, what got me into it. I think it was as soon as I started writing songs and I wrote those first few songs, the concept that I could take a blank canvas, a blank slate, a blank piece of tape back in the day and create something that had never been done before that was completely unique and new and different. That was pretty cool. So at a very high level, that is probably what I would say. That's my main reason for writing music, and I still do it to this day, and I still get a bit of a buzz every time I get to that point where I'm like, this is done and it's finished, and that's why I recommend to you and you and you and you. That's why I recommend to you that you create, record, and release music. Finish it, share it, get it out there, because that's going to give you a really good sense of satisfaction, and it's going to give you an opportunity to get feedback from other folks that is going to help you make better music in the future. Hello to Timothy. Good to have you on board here, my friend. Gussie Wells, always good to see you. How do I enable two microphones at the same time while recording guitars on GarageBand? So the way to do that is to basically set up two different tracks. So say you got GarageBand, you've got on your iPad there, you set up two amp simulators or two just audio tracks, and then in the actual track, you can go in and select if you've got a two-channel interface plugged in. So say you're using a Steinberg UR22C, you've got the two channels there. You select channel 1 for the first track and channel 2 for the second track. You tap the record button on both of those and the monitor button, so the little red button and the little orange button, and then you record. You hit record and you go. And what it will do, you'll see the two little lines, the two red lines go across. And the best way to see a demo of this is if you search, I've got a video where I do 4 tracks at once on my Steinberg UR44, and I show exactly how to do this, how to set up each track. And in that one, I actually recorded an acoustic guitar with a pair of stereo mics and a line input and my vocal mic at the same time. So I recorded 4 tracks at once. If you search Pete Johns multi-track or Pete Johns 4 tracks at once, those sort of things will help you. And I think even at my FAQ, in fact, that's probably a better way to go. If you go over to the FAQ, GarageBand.com, studiolivetoday.com/GarageBand, you'll be able to check out the FAQ over there. I hope that helps. Question here from Tim Osborne. I have issues with the Synthmaster 1 for iOS. It doesn't want to play or record a lot of the time with my MIDI keyboard. Can you confirm if I have accessed the app through AU extensions to play it? I don't know. So hopefully someone else, Tim, has played around with it. I still haven't tried it. I know that it was made free. I don't know if it's still free. It was one of those ones that I missed, unfortunately, because I just struggle to keep up with everything. But yeah, if anyone else has any ideas for you, in fact, the very next one here, oh no, that's Gussie. That's answering Gussie's question. Hopefully someone else has jumped in and answered Tim's question, and we can get started there. Timothy here has a question. I want to use my 6th gen iPad, not a Pro, for guitar practice. What have you experienced with respect to latency when playing? Any delay makes the experience not so fun. Amplitude or bias amp. So yeah, I was playing around using the built-in amps with my iRig Pro IO. That was working well. Like I was getting virtually no latency, very low latency using that. So I'd recommend getting yourself a decent guitar interface there, and then just experiment with the different tones. Some apps are better than others, depends on the load. But I use my iPad Air 2 and record guitars, and yeah, pretty low latency. So let me know how you get on, but hopefully you won't have too much difficulty there. Follow up here from Vaughan Felix Music. Thank you. I like their mastering service, but I guess their distribution sucks, so I'll be switching. And yeah, look at the reason I use DistroKid is that whilst at the moment there are some delays just due to high demand and due to the processing and people not being able to be at work and be as productive across all the different platforms and all the different stores, but I've heard, even though I get a lot of people asking things about DistroKid, they seem to be relaxed when it comes to a lot of things. I think they're being forced to be a little bit more stringent on things like the payment side and the tax side, so making sure they've got all your tax information. I had to refill in my W8EN form the other day, which, yeah, don't get me started on that. Maybe I need to do a how to manage tax with your music distribution at some stage, but I had to redo that the other day. But anyway, the point I was making here is that DistroKid for distribution, they are the most straightforward. They seem to have the least amount of problems, and they've got the widest range of services to get your stuff released. So hopefully that works for you if you want to consider a new distributor that is going to help you use your music. Because, yeah, I mean, things like YouTube Content ID and Facebook for Instagram stories and TikTok, these things can't be ignored anymore. These are going to be, for a professional musician, these are going to be additional revenue streams. And if you can get it by using one service and you can't get it by using another, I know which way I'd be going. Goodbye to you. It was really fun, but it's late. Yes, so if you are in Europe or the UK, it's going to be pretty late. If you do need to check out, then go ahead and do that. I'll continue on here while we have some questions. In fact, let's take a quick break and do something a bit fun. So for those that are here and have been here for the previous weeks, we have done something that I'm mentally noting what time. I'm realizing this is where I need to go. 8:34 a.m. If I struggle afterwards, I need to go back to what the chat was at 8:34 a.m. That's where I was up to. So what I've been doing is a little bit of a quick lightning round. So down in the description of this video, there's 10 questions. They're all really quick. And if you want to play along at home, or if you want to play in the comments here and have a chat while we go through, or drop a comment as Battalion and others have done in previous weeks with your answers to these, then go ahead and do so. But the idea here is just to answer some questions that are just a little bit fun and a little bit non-musical, just to get a little bit of a variety. So I'm going to have a wee drink to hydrate, and then we'll jump in the lightning round. There we go. And then, I'll come back and we'll have a few more questions to finish off and to answer to finish the show today. So let's go through. These are 10 questions. I'm going to answer first thing that comes to my mind, and I don't have them to put on the screen, but I'll read them out. And again, they're down in the description. So number one, favorite ice cream flavor? Chocolate. Just as the first thing that comes to mind. Chocolate is always better. If there's vanilla and chocolate, there's a reason when you get those Neapolitan, those three, which are like pink, white, and chocolate, that the chocolate always goes. Everyone always leaves the pink and the strawberry and the vanilla. Anyway, why not just buy chocolate? Number two, say a word in Spanish. Well, that's not really a question, but no. Is that Spanish for no? Quesadilla. I am real. So here's the thing. I know Spanish probably is the second language in the US. A lot of folks speak Spanish. I did French at school, so I can say Je m'appelle Pierre. Comment ça va? Ça va bien, merci. So I can speak a little French. Obviously not very much. But yeah, I don't know any Spanish. Question three. Do you believe in fate? No, I don't. Pretty much simple. I believe in controlling your own destiny, and I believe that you get out what you put in, and that, I don't like the idea that something else controls what happens, because otherwise, I like to make decisions. I like my decisions to have consequences, whether they're good, bad, or otherwise. That's what I have to live with. My favorite number, which is question 4, I don't have a favorite number as such. I like round numbers, so I'd probably go 5 or 10. They're good numbers. Have you ever worn socks with sandals? I'm sure I had as a child. I'm sure that my parents probably dressed me in socks and sandals. It was the 80s after all. Since I've been a grown adult, I haven't. I have worn socks with thongs. Now, thongs, for those outside of Australia, are what you'd call flip-flops. So, yes, that's always weird because you put the thing through your toe, like between your big toe and your next toe, and wearing socks with thongs is a weird thing. But on a cold morning in Australia, where you got your socks on and then you need to go outside, you're going to whack your thongs on over the top of your socks. Number 4, why can't we tickle ourselves? I've actually researched this before. For some reason, weirdly, I have actually done the research on this, and it's because you are anticipating it. Part of the tickle reflex is the fact that you aren't anticipating it, and it's a surprise element that apparently your nerves go, we're surprised, and then you get tickled. So that's why you can't actually tickle yourself. Number 6, why does a person need to be happy? What a weird question. Why do you need to be happy? Because the opposite is feeling sad? I don't know. Some of these lightning round questions are a bit weird. Why do you need to feel happy? Why does the person need to be happy? Because it's part of that whole hierarchy of needs, I guess, that we need happiness to feel fulfilled and to survive and all those things. Next one is, is there such thing as objective beauty? I'm going to flip this around and say, is there such thing as objective good music, and or is it subjective or objective? Yeah. So I think that the answer to any question like that is you do you. It's in the eye of the beholder. Horses for courses. Any other cliche that you want to go with. So no, I don't believe that you go. This is this thing and this is that. Unless it's black and white. But even black and white, like if you seen that, like that blue dress that everyone thought was gold, like that big controversy they had. Yeah, even things that are black and white or blue and gold can have difference and variance in opinion. So I'm going to bring it back to music and just say, is there objective good music versus bad music? No, because the music that I think is actually terrible somehow gets to number one on the charts. So that clearly means that other people like it. What is the best age? Ooh, the age you are right now. Hashtag motivate. No. What is the best age? Ironically, I do actually like the age I am now. I like being in my 40s. I've always said I was, even as like a 15-year-old, I was 15 going on 40. So I've always been a middle-aged man trapped in a younger man's body and mind. So yeah, I kind of like being around about this age. But I think age is kind of irrelevant and it's limitless. Like I know that there are people that range from 13 up to 90 who create music and who watch this channel. So hello and welcome to you. It doesn't actually matter. That's the beauty part, is that it's actually been democratized. The whole music creation thing's been democratized, and most things have too. There is no, anytime I hear you are too old to or you are too young to, I mean, you're too young to, probably. My children want to do some things, and I'm like, oh, you're too young, because there are some things that your brain hasn't developed to the level of maturity where you can do it. But as soon as you're an adult, as soon as you're 18, my view is if you're not hurting anyone else and you're not doing any damage, you do what makes you happy, to that other question, and just get started. And the last one, I thought this was a bit fun. I did have a quick scan of these before, but I didn't realize there were some weird ones in there. Is double dipping at a party ever acceptable? So no, especially not in this day and age. These questions were written a long time ago, but my goodness, are the double dipping police going to be out in force where we all get to party again? Like it will be. I've got this feeling that the whole concept of shared food is going to become weird and different, and you're going to go to a party and it's be like BYO drinks, food, nibbles, everything, and everyone's going to have to bring their own little esky or own little cooler bag with their supply of drinks and their own packet of chips that they open, their own little packet of salsa that they're dipping the chips in. Yeah, I can't see us going back to go to the bar and there's a big bowl of peanuts on the bar so that you can enjoy peanuts that are covered in the leavings of everyone else's fingers and don't wash their hands, and etc. I think we've gone too far. I think you get the drift. But there you go. That was just a little break for me to mentally reset. Hopefully you played along at home and thought, what would I answer? Do I believe in fate? Have I ever worn socks with sandals? And if you've tried to tickle yourself and had success, let me know. Let's jump back to the questions. Actually, I'll see if anyone had any ideas here and playing along at home. Yes. Metallion says, with those questions, some of my answers may be not safe for work. Yeah, absolutely. Could be the case. Hello from Mexico. Mara Gerardo. Hello from Mexico. Probably speak better Spanish than I do. Bon nuit. Tim. Bon nuit to you too. I don't know what demand means. I am with a demon. I got the good night, Pete. And je means me. I'm going to bed. Maybe I'm retiring for the night. We'll go with that. Yes. I've heard there's two kinds of music, says Jeff. Good and bad. Yeah. Sion's got some good answers here. Caramel. Ooh, I like caramel. C. There you go. I should have said C. C. Yes, I control what I can to the best I can. 7's the best number. Socks and sandals to yep. Because you know when it's coming. Happiness is a gift and you can choose your music. Good answers there. Love it. RJ Lovely says hi. Hello to you. Hope you are doing well, my friends. Let's get back. SM Borswick said, what's the best age? Any. Exactly. Any if you're still with us. The best age is whatever age you are when you wake up in the morning and face another day. Face? No. Embrace another day. There you go. Now, that time was 8:34 that I needed to scroll back up to. See, I remembered. I can remember some things. Excellent. All right, we'll grab any other questions that we have here. Realize we've been going a long time here, but I hope to make sure that we cover as many questions as we can. Question here from Ethan. Hello to you. Sorry, I tried to make it this time. I hate this. Yeah, exactly. Just one question. Is there any other way to verify your artist name on DistroKid? To verify your artist name? So to get a verified artist profile, now this is something I need to do more research on, to be honest. So the way it works here is that there's the places people usually want to have sort of their artist profile is YouTube, so that it translates over to Google, Spotify, and Apple Music. So when you release a new song, the reason that I say make sure that everything you do, the reason I'm Pete Johns everywhere, like my YouTube channel is called Pete Johns, even though it's branded Studio Live Today, it's Pete Johns. When I release a song, it's Pete Johns. When you search on Google, it's Pete Johns, because that tells all these platforms that anything you see that's Pete Johns, group in this. And the reason I say to you to have a really unique name when you're releasing is you want to own that name. So if you go out and if I was Pete Smith, well, there's a lot of other Pete Smiths. And if I tried releasing music as Pete Smith and then have a YouTube channel Pete Smith, it's going to be hard. Relating right back to what Ethan's asking here, if you start releasing music, usually at the point where you've released your first song, sometimes you have to release a second song. You'll get something like a Spotify for Artist profile, which means you have a bit more control over that, and that will be under your name. YouTube, when you release your first song, puts you in a various artists topic. So it'll put you in with a bunch of other songs. But over time, if you have a bunch of different songs, it will group you together in a topic based on your name. And then it uses that name as the Google search term as well. So my band called Fear Cut, I've released through Amuse, now has a Spotify for Artist profile. It now has a YouTube topic. So if you go Fear Cut topic on YouTube, you'll find that one. And then the same with Apple Music, it has its own band profile. So that's the aim of what you generally want to do when releasing music. And the reason I say don't wait, like don't record a bunch of stuff and then wait to release your first EP and make it this big event and this big drop, because you won't have all of that behind the scenes. What I would do is release a song as soon as possible, give it a few weeks or a month, release another song, build up your profile, start letting the stores and start letting the platforms know that your name, Ethan Bybee or whatever your artist name is releasing music. And then you're going to get access to all those tools. You're going to get some traffic through Google and YouTube. And again, if you've got your own YouTube channel that's also that exact same name, that's going to benefit you as well. So hopefully that helps you out, and hopefully that gives some other folks some ideas. If you are looking to start releasing music, promoting, building a brand, yeah, I know. I was talking, when I was talking in the interview yesterday with Matthew Stratton from MatthewCreating.com, we were talking about this, that when you're an independent creator, you are everything. So you are the musician, you're the talent, but you're also marketing, sales, admin, like you are every department, finance. You have to think about all of these different things. Obviously, if you get big enough, you can hire people to think for you and to have the expertise, but you do need to learn this stuff as you go. And the best way to learn it is to do it. So get your music released. Again, the reason I keep saying create, record, release is that it builds up not only you, your self-esteem, your confidence, getting feedback, but it starts building that online profile. And if you have that unique name, that's going to help you out. Hopefully that little rant helped you and some other folks there if you're struggling with that. Excuse me. We will scroll anything, and yes, absolutely, it can be off topic. The title is indeed Ask Me Anything. So, and that's why I do those little 10 lightning questions, just to mix it up and just for, keep me entertained. But hopefully they're entertaining for you. Learn a little bit of something and have a bit of fun with that. Let's have a look here. A question here from Michael Duzan. Just started out with literally everything. I'm in the process of setting up an iPad studio. What DAW app is best for everything? Cubase's or GarageBand or any other useful apps. So I use GarageBand, and I do think that for starting out, it is the best app. I mean, I'm still using it. I've started exploring some other apps, and I know I've been saying this for a while now, but I'll be releasing some videos about some other apps in the future. The reason I keep coming back to GarageBand is that it's free and it does everything I need it to do. So, and the difference between apps these days is really around workflow, because whether you're using Cubasis, Audio Pro, or GarageBand, there's a few different things you can do. So if you're finding something in GarageBand, like you need a master volume track, you need to be able to use buses and sends between different things, and yeah, so then you might need to go to something more advanced. But don't make the mistake some people do, which is that they instantly jump up to a more complex digital audio workstation because they think it's going to give them a better sound. It's generally not. If you have an interface and you plug it in and it's recording 24-bit audio, 44.1 kilohertz sound, whether at the end you're plugging it into GarageBand, Cubasis, Auria, or into a Mac running Pro Tools, or into a PC running Nuendo, I don't know, I made up a Logic Pro, whatever interface, whatever studio you're using, you're generally going to be sending that same digital signal, those same ones and zeros. So it really comes down. The reason that when people say, "Oh, I can't believe you use GarageBand, that's for like kids, that's for people that don't know what they're doing," the answer is the workflow works for me, and it's recording ones and zeros. If you understand about how analog to digital audio recording works, it's whatever you're plugging in. So whatever you're plugging in and sending a digital signal into the DAW, that's what's being recorded. It all comes down to ones and zeros. Anyway, I rant about that a lot, I know. For the regular folks, I'm sorry. I go on that rant regularly, but I would definitely start out with GarageBand. It's going to teach you the basics and the concepts anyway, and then you can move on from there if you find the workflow doesn't work for you. And yes, it is. Ask me anything. So 100%. If there's any questions you folks have about anything else, jump on to those. Question 3 from David says, my Shure SM58 into the UR22C has to be set around 3/4, but still sounds dead and muffled on direct monitor. I'm a sax player via speakers or headphones. That is weird. I don't use a lot. I must admit, I'll have to do some experimenting to work this out. And I am starting to do a whole lot more creating. I'll be using the Steinberg UR22C when I'm recording my EP over the next month or two. So I will test it out then, because I do want to do things like use my stereo pair of dynamic mics or use my SM57 to record things. Your dynamic mics are always going to have a much lower volume coming through than a condenser mic will, and because they just have less power going through and less gain. So yeah, and I guess monitoring for a saxophone with a louder instrument, I don't have a lot of experience with that either. So I don't know if you might need some extra gain, might need to I'd have to consider that in terms of what you'd need to do there. But yeah, sounds like the interface isn't working out for you great up front. Hopefully you find some ways to work with it, or bought it from somewhere where you can return it and maybe try something different. That's the thing. I recommend what I use and what works for me. Clearly, it won't always work exactly the same way because everyone is different. You're all using different headphones, different microphones, different instruments, and you have a different way of interpreting things and different ears. We've all got different ears, which is good. You don't want my ears. Some of the things that I like, not a lot of people like. Metallian, as usual, will throw your answers down in the comments. Excellent. Appreciate it. Oh, salted caramel. Yeah, I like me some salted caramel. In fact, I've got some salted caramel cheesecake in the fridge that I'm going to enjoy with a coffee directly after this show. You've just reminded me, Dan, so appreciate that. Can I record? Here's a Michael Duzan. Can I record 2 vocal tracks in those DAWs? Yes. So 2 vocal tracks. Yes. So GarageBand can support up to. I mean, I've never actually pushed it past 6. I'm assuming it can do 8 or 10 or 12. Probably depends on the iPad or the iPhone you're using. But I use the Steinberg UR22C. If I want to record, say, stereo guitars, I plug in 2 different microphones here. If I want to record 2 vocalists at once, I plug in 2 mics, and then I set one channel to channel 1, so one track to channel 1, another track to channel 2, hit record, and you're good to go. Hopefully that helps. Scrolling on down. It did the jump, and I forgot to note where I was up to. We'll come back up. I think. Yep, there we are. I found myself. TLR says, "How are you? I am good. I'm at the start of a weekend where I've got another 3 live shows to do, so I'm always pumped up and pretty motivated. As you can tell, we're an hour and a half in, and hopefully I'm still bringing the energy. By the way, if you are getting some value out of this, I don't often do the whole like, comment, subscribe stuff, but yeah, if you do get some value and you like these sort of shows, hit the like button. The last two that I've done, folks have said that they really like. They like the relaxed nature and they like the ability to just throw any question out there and have a bit of a chat and a bit of banter about things. So yes, if you're getting some value, drop a comment, hit the like button, do all those good things. We'll continue down. RJ Lovely says, what's the difference between filter and EQ? A great question. And in fact, that's such a great question. It's going on my list of 2-minute tips. So don't be surprised if you see a 2-minute tip video about this. Sorry, I'm just going to, little behind the scenes. I'm just going into my ideas section. I'm going to go 2-minute tip, filter versus EQ. So the concept here is that they're not actually that different at all, because filters usually use EQs. But what they do is a filter will be filtering out a particular sound. And when people talk about filters, they often mean sort of sweeping a filter. So that filter effect you get is where you're going. Like, can I do it? Let's see if we can do a live demo. I'll see if I can put a filter on here. This is I'll use this track, and hopefully he doesn't mind. This is a track I'm working on for one of my clients at the moment, Jonathan. He's doing a great job with this song, and I'm helping him with the production and to bring it together. So if we just bring, what's one that we can use? So let's use this Dreamy Bells little pad that he's put in here, which sounds really cool. I know you can't see my screen, so apologies for that. Next week, when I do this, I'll have my iPad screen, because a lot of questions have probably needed more demonstration than I've been set up to do. So let's just play this. We'll play these Dreamy Bells. So hopefully you can hear those dreamy bells coming on through there. So the difference here is that if we can EQ, so all I'm doing is I'm going into plugins and EQ to visual EQ, and what we can do with these is, say I wanted to change this sound, I wanted it to sound like remove all the bass from it. So this might be something that you want to do. So let's hit play. I'm going to drop the bass down. You can hear it kind of goes away. And as I sweep back, and then I increase the bass. So what I'm doing that you can't see, stop that for now. What I'm doing that you can't see is that I'm sweeping. I increased, well, first of all, I decreased the bass and swept that from the low end to the top end and back again. And then I increased the bass and I swept it from the low end to the top again. So when you see a filter plugin, that's basically what it's doing. It's sweeping around and it's filtering out either the high end or the top end, or sometimes it'll do a band filter, which means that it filters the low and the high and it focuses in on just one part of the sound. Let's see if we can find something else that will demonstrate this a bit better. And where is my recent song? I'll use my own stuff. That way I know that I have my permission. And again, apologies that you can't see what I'm doing here, but hopefully with me explaining the concept, it will make a bit of sense. So I'm going to bring up my track here. There it is. So if I bring, say, this guitar sound that I've got recorded here, we'll just take those off and those off. So here's a couple of tracks of guitar. Let's turn down because these are going to be louder. Let's just pick one of those. That's going to be over on the left. We'll just pan it. We'll pan it to the center, shall we? So this is going to work a little bit better. You're going to hear this. So we'll go to plugins and EQ again. We'll go to the effect. And if we wanted to have what's called a high pass filter or a low cut filter, what I'm going to do is, as I play this back, we'll grab the EQ. And you can hear it's taking away all of that low end. Bring it back in. Now what about a high cut filter? Yeah, there you go. So that's all we're talking about with filtering. It's basically filtering out a different frequency. So all EQ by its very nature is just turning up or turning down a frequency. When you talk about filtering, you're normally talking about reductive EQ, which is removing a particular frequency. Sorry, I went a bit far into that one, but yeah, I do get that sort of question a lot, and it will become a 2-minute tip. So watch out for that one. Question here. Hi, Pete. How can you find total view count in YouTube? I saw it once, but now I can't find it. And this is from Stephen Hewitt. How can you find total view count, as in of one particular video or of your whole channel, Stephen? The dashboard on your channel should have all of that. So if you go to studio.youtube.com, if it's for your own videos, you go into the analytics there. You can actually filter the analytics, and I would show you here. I'll see if I can bring it up to show you without showing stuff that I can't show, because there's some things that YouTube doesn't let me show other people. So let me bring up my studio here, and I'll see if I can show you, assuming that you're meaning for your own account. So I'm here in YouTube Studio. Coming over here, I'll just see if I can bring it up here. My analytics. And I'll see if I can get just the part where it shows me my total view count. Yeah, no, I can't actually show it because it's got other data in there that I'm not allowed to show you, such as my click-through rates and my cost, like my earnings per click and all that sort of thing. But yeah, if you go into studio.youtube.com, over on the left, go down to analytics, you can actually see there it's got total views for the period, and then it's got your watch time, your subscriber gains or losses, and your revenue there if you are part of the partner program. And in the top right, you can actually filter that down. So you can it defaults to 28 days, or you can filter it to change it to lifetime of your whole channel. And that might be where, if you want to know how many views you've had lifetime on your channel, you can click on that one and it will show you exactly what that is. And wowzers. I've just had a look at mine. Yeah, that's that. Yeah, but yeah, you can take a look at that, and yeah, that will help you if that's what you're looking for on an individual video. That the other thing, YouTube actually changed recently that you can't see an exact number of views or subscribers for other people's videos, because it defaults once it gets over 1,000. It doesn't give you the exact number. It just goes 1K, then it goes 1.1K, 1.2K, etc. So it doesn't give you those exacting numbers like it used to back in the day. Righty. So DJ Will says, does the M Audio Keystation Mark III work with the iPad Mini 2? It does, but you would be using some of the older software. So you won't be able to run the latest version of GarageBand or iOS 13 on the iPad Mini 2. But if you're comfortable using the older version, if you've already got the older version of GarageBand and you grab yourself one of these, a Lightning to USB 3 adapter, then yes, you can plug your M Audio Keystation into your iPad Mini 2 and you will be good to go. Michael says, I'm legit wearing socks and sandals right now. Love it a lot. Where are we at time-wise? Yeah, we've got about 15 minutes to go. If you do have any questions, now is the time. Don't hold back, because when we're done, we're done. Although, I'll be back tomorrow with Home Studio Q&A. So you do have some time to ask those, but we are going to whip through as many of these quick questions as we can. This one's easy. Yes, I am. I'm here in sunny Adelaide, South Australia. So I am Australian. Question from Rowan M. I play guitar through too many FX pedals. Do you have any tips for recording into GarageBand via a pedal board? I find clipping is a problem. Yeah, so what you want is you want an interface that has an instrument input, so something like an iRig HD or iRig Pro IO, or an interface that has a high Z or high Z input that is going to be instrument level. If you try to plug into a line level, then yeah, you're going to get you're going to have problems with that. And turn down the number one tip for this, because you do get clipping really easily, to turn down the gain on everything and really just inch it up slowly. So start with your input gain down at 0 on your interface, dial in a moderate setting, make sure you're not too loud. I know we're all guitarists, we want it to be super loud, go to 11. So just dial it up and then slowly ease it up. It's super easy to clip. So yeah, go quiet, go slow, and you'll get there. Question here from Ian says, hi, are there any plugins that can create 12-string type guitar from a basic electric input through GarageBand app? Not that I know of. So yeah, I don't know. I haven't come across anything that sort of does 12-string guitar emulation. I guess your best bet I haven't tried this, but maybe a bit of a hack might be to record your guitar on one track and then use the vocal transformer plugin and maybe put it up an octave and then just mix that into your sound at like half volume. It'd probably sound terrible, wouldn't it? Yeah, not sure. Sorry. But good question. If anyone has any ideas around 12-string apps, then yeah, go ahead. A question from Ethan. What are your thoughts on VST plugins? So VST plugins are for DAWs on the PC platform. So if you have VST plugins, you can't use them on a Mac and you can't use them on your iPad or iPhone. So the way it works is any VST plugins are available to use and you can plug those into your PC. Audio Unit or AU plugins work with the Mac platform generally. And then AUV3, Audio Unit version 3, they work with your iPhone or iPad. So VSTs, I use a few on Reaper on my PC, but not a whole lot these days, to be perfectly honest. But they are good if you are using those platforms. Question from Langston Reese. Can you create a new tempo in a duplicated section in your project? New tempo? No. Short answer is no. GarageBand only supports one tempo for the entire track. There is a bit of a workaround, but it involves creating two tracks and then exporting one and pasting it into the other, but you're going to lose the grid. So GarageBand won't adjust the grid to a second tempo. It'll put it all in the one tempo. So apologies for that. Let's continue on. Just scrolling down. If I see the word question, I'll jump in and see if I can answer it. I'm not seeing any other questions. Nope. It is good. It's great to see. It's great to see folks in here chattering and talking amongst yourselves, because I think a lot of the questions are being already answered before I get to them anyway. So yes. Question here: how to check your live YouTube subscriber count? So I think it's basically the same sort of thing. So for you as a YouTube creator, you go to studio.youtube.com and you can see the live count for your subscriber count there, or you can go to your channel page. So for me, if I go youtube.com/c/Pete Johns Music, which is my channel page, it will bring up, and this one I should be able to show because I don't think it'll have anything. It'll just have the public view of this. And yes, it will. And I actually use something called TubeBuddy, which shows my analytics in a little bit more detail. So if you want to learn more about your own YouTube channel and you're creating videos and you want to get a bit more in the way of analytics, check out TubeBuddy. TubeBuddy.com if you haven't already started using that, and you can see this sort of thing. So it gives you a little bit of additional information about your channel, which I'll show you here now. Yep, we can do this. Again, just making sure it doesn't show you anything, because YouTube, the other thing is be really careful of publicly sharing information about your YouTube channel. You can show things like anything public you can show basically, but anything that's not publicly available, be really careful, because there's some things in the terms of service that say what you can and can't do. So here's what anyone would be able to see here. They'll be able to see my channel name, 43.8 thousand subscribers, and then all of the videos here on the front screen that you can see here. What TubeBuddy does is it gives you this little additional thing here where I can see both my view count in the last 30 days, I can see my subscriber count in the last 30 days, but again, because this is using publicly available data, it's actually only showing them to the nearest, I think 50 or nearest 100. So the nearest 100 for everything there, and the same again with the lifetime views and things that we have there. So hopefully that helps you, but yeah, go to your own channel. If you do that, that's going to show you that view, or if you go to studio.youtube.com, you'll be able to see your studio channel there. All cool. Let's see. I think we're going to finish up shortly because I've almost caught up on all the questions. So thank you ever so much for everyone for asking all of your questions. Metallion's got to go. I'll watch the end on the replay. I think we're nearly done. I don't think you'll miss much. I think you'll be good there. Rowan says, thank you for the recording pedals advice. I have a better interface in the post. I'm in Oz too. Excellent. Let me know how you go and how you get on with that. But yeah, it can be hard because you know what it's like. Even just trying to get your gain staging right through your pedal board, like you put one pedal and you put the input gain too loud or the output gain too loud, and suddenly you get this distorted mess. So I definitely know what you're saying when it comes to that. So it does take a little while just doing your little tweaking and getting things all hunky dory and all set up. Alrighty, that is going to do it for this one. But thank you very much. I appreciate it. Oh, sorry, we've got one more here. Imported MIDI files have locked volume. How do I unlock? You can't. MIDI files are all based on the velocity. So take a look at the velocity of the MIDI files, and that should help you out with that one. And I've got some other information. If you search Pete Johns and MIDI, sorry, Ian, I'm just running out of time here, and I'm gonna have to head off. Yeah, hit me up if there's any further questions. Thank you for being here. If you've got more questions you want answered, we've got the Home Studio Q&A show. That's also the podcast that I do every week. So we'll be recording the podcast live round about this time tomorrow. We then have the happy hour, which is my 80s tribute happy hour that will be happening live in a little bit later that day. Excuse me. And then join back on Monday morning here in Australia or Sunday afternoon or evening for GarageBand Weekly. If you're into your GarageBand, I hope you can join me then. Thank you everyone for being here. Have a great weekend. Enjoy yourselves. Keep creating. Keep your head up. And I will see you on the next video. Take care. Bye.